feel very excited to be part of the youth.
What about us?
Got my money back.
Biggest advantage of Uzbekistan.
Difficult for the youth to get employed.
I did not expect the meeting to be so genuine and sincere.
A very hot topic in our country.
I didn't spend a penny of the government.
3-room apartment house.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Hello everyone, welcome to our CPR Talks. Today's topic is youth policy. This is the second podcast that we are filming today. So previously we had a meeting with two MP of Ali Majlis. So this time we have other guests, and it's a beautiful diversity here because we are meeting with youngsters, younger generation, representatives of younger generation. So our first guest is Azizbek Zaylobiddinov, who got into Harvard University and who actually participated in the meeting with the president. Welcome. Our next guest is Habiba Hidayatova.
So my name is Habiba Hidayatova. I am currently employed at Tashkent State University of Economics, where I teach the subject of green economics as a senior lecturer. I got full scholarship from El Yurt Umid Jamgharmasi, so it's a fund, a local scholarship fund, and I feel very honored by that.
Jamila Halibayeva, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Hello everyone, I'm Jamila Halibayeva. I work as the Global Marketing Director at IT Park Uzbekistan. It is the biggest techno park in the Central Asia. We have 14 branches in our country and 4 representative offices, one in the US, one in Germany, one in South Korea, and one in Saudi Arabia. Recently, I also achieved my MBA from German university called University of Europe in digital technologies.
So let's kick off the discussion first with Azizbek, who actually participated in the event with the president. So we watched posts, we read posts, we watched videos about that meeting. But what are your main impressions and key takeaways from this meeting?
First of all, hi to everybody watching. A bit more introduction. I'm Azizbek. I study at the Academic Lyceum under Westminster International University. And as he mentioned, I recently got into Harvard. I will start my studies there, focusing on studying on government concentration. And I was recently in a meeting with Mr. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, and really good impressions, I would say, because I did not expect the meeting to be so genuine and sincere. And when you are not in the meeting and when you watch it outside, like from TV or from videos, you only get to see the formal side of the meeting, like formal talks, formal impressions, formal phrases, standing up, sitting down, writing notes, right? But when you're there, it's much more different, I would say. So first of all, the president walks in and then he welcomes everyone, sits down and starts by talking about the recent, let's say, general progress in terms of youth policy. And then he then later on focuses on the discussion with the youth, and then becomes more of, like, I would say, he becomes another young person as well, to be able to engage with youth. I think he steps down from the position of an elderly person to become a young person again, to be able to understand us. And then he was really genuine with us. He was like laughing when somebody made a mistake. There was a case, for example, there was a person joining from Zoom, from Namangan. There was a guy who was an entrepreneur, and then he forgot what he was supposed to say and said, "May I please restart?" And then he said, "Yeah, restart, but not with the words that they told you what to do, but restart from your heart." So stuff like that happens in the meeting. I was really impressed by the genuinity and the sincerity.
So let's talk about main, let's say, key takeaways from this meeting. So we start with you because you were from there. I mean, you participated in the event, right?
The meeting was focused on youth. It was focused on several factors and several areas of youth policy, starting with youth entrepreneurship. For example, to several venture funds and the banks, it was granted $400 million for youth to start their own businesses and startups and stuff. And then it was also discussed that for any entrepreneur who gives job to certain number of youths in his company, the government is ready to give certain amount of what we call in Uzbek credit, meaning loan, with let's say low percentage or even like 0%. And also it was also discussed in terms of Olympiads and science. For example, the gift, meaning the money that the international Olympiad winners from Uzbekistan receive, is going to be multiplied 5 times. For example, in the past they used to receive around 150 million Uzbek soms. Probably now they will receive around 750 million up to, let's say, 1 billion Uzbek soms. So that's a great amount of money. In the past, people used to say, why don't Olympiads don't get the same amount of money as sport Olympiad winners? Now it's literally the equal amount, I would say. And then it was also discussed about the fact that a lot of youths are now studying at top colleges from Uzbekistan and then they are returning back. And then the Miss President said that there would be an extra quotas on certain careers in Edirne phone, so there will be additional quotas there. And then he also proposed a new project called Yorkon Istidat, translating to brilliant talent, right? So what that does is they every year select around 1,000 intellectual students who are from underprivileged communities, underprivileged families, and then they prepare them for top colleges. And then they apply to those colleges. Either they get like scholarships themselves, or they get the scholarship from Edirne, and then they go to the college, and then they come back to work in either private or public sectors. So that was also discussed. And then other stuff, for example, there were people who are from robotics sector, or there was also a guy from aerospace sector, and he proposed the idea of opening, not him, actually the Mr. President proposed the idea of opening a center for aerospace engineering in Tashkent, and later on, if that works out successfully, opening it in all regions. So hopefully there will be a new center for aerospace engineering for youth will be opening soon here in Tashkent.
Okay, thank you. Ladies?
Very impressive.
Yeah, ladies, what were the key takeaways for you?
From our side, I guess it's more about the startup ecosystem of Uzbekistan, that it's
Which
really
is relevant to your
yes.
position and job, right?
Yeah, it's developing very rapidly, I guess, and we have huge support from the president's side and from the government side. Especially, for example, the last year we had the new presidential decree number 357 about the startup ecosystem support programs. First of all, we opened our venture fund called IT Park Ventures with $10 million volume, and this year our venture fund started negotiations with 40 startups in potential investment. We also can make 1+1 co-investment deals in Uzbekistan.
What is it?
It is like when local startup attracts foreign investments, we can give to the startup the same amount of investment in Uzbekistan.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And also we have also the compensation programs for the startups. For example, for participating in global accelerators, incubation programs, or even in registration of their patents.
Thank you. Habiba?
The main highlight for me was that the quotas for Eliurt, or the fund of Eliurt, now they're allocating separate spots for those who are planning to pursue their degrees in energy, transportation, logistics sector. And I think it's very important because as Uzbekistan is now entering the new era of energy production when it comes to renewables, and it's a new field for us, and we don't have much experience working in renewable energy sector, so it's very important to support the youth and to encourage them to pursue their educations in energy, particularly in renewable energy fields, and supporting their paths towards that. So that was a main key takeaway for me, because I myself graduated a very similar field and now pursuing my career in there. And also, yes, I'm teaching this subject at university level, but this is not enough, because I'm teaching one subject, and going there and studying an entire course in this field makes a big difference. Second key takeaway was that now those students who have finished top 100 university list for their PhDs now are going to get help from the government when it comes to financing their housing.
I was gonna say that because like I'm observing that you're carving out all like areas that is relevant for your own like subject or positions. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you for mentioning it.
Which is also offers huge support and also further encourages those who have been hesitant on pursuing their PhDs or not, because recently, 5 years ago, having a PhD was not as profitable to say, but now it's becoming more and more interesting for us, the youth, to go out there and pursue further education and come back to Uzbekistan with that. Also, one more impressive thing that I figured out, which stood out to me, because I work with students, right, Tashkent State University of Economics, and I work a lot with the youth who are in the stage of finding themselves in the employment era, who are applying to jobs. And I have noted, when I was reading the conclusions of the meeting, that those companies in the social field that are now employing the youth under the age of 25, those companies will have a return of 1% for the social tax. So it's profitable now for companies to employ the youth, which is very helpful because it's difficult for the youth to get employed, get offered.
What do they normally say? You need to have
experience,
right?
Exactly, yes. But now this is like one of the elements that will actually encourage firms to hire.
Yeah, adding to that, so Mr. President also said that there is a problem with our university graduates who are graduating for their bachelor's degree and they cannot find a job. So he proposed the solution, which was that I think I cannot remember which bank exactly was that, but there will be a bank who will be opening their offices in every single university, and there will be like I think all like universities abroad have this like center for employment, you know. This will be a similar stuff. So yeah, they will be at the university sitting, and then the students will come and they will help them find jobs. And then, as she mentioned, that the tax will be decreased to 1%.
Okay, so I mean everything is positive, I see, but you know, like government holding these kind of events a lot, like they're doing something out there, like ensuring certain policies. But do you feel those changes in real life? That's the main question that bothers me and like the youngsters. So what are they? If like convince me that we are feeling that. Personally, like just for the record, I didn't spend a penny of the government in terms of like studying abroad. But what are the opportunities? What are the real life changes? Can you talk about them?
Yeah, definitely. One of the results of the recent reforms that stood out to me the most is that I think it was noted that the amount of girls that are now pursuing higher education is 11 times the amount that was observed previously. And now that the youth, 42% of the youth is pursuing higher education, which is a very impressive number.
Okay. Did we have less in the past?
Yes, if I'm not mistaken, it was less than 20% back in 2016, 17 of the total population share, which is a very small number.
Okay.
Another simple fact would be this year more than 50,000 people, I think, took IELTS exam. 50,000 youths. That means that at least like 20,000, I think, got above like 5.5, meaning they would be able to enter universities. And then I heard the number, which was that around 10,000 youths got 7 or 7 plus and got their compensation back. I think you know that the youth agency, the place where I work at, refunds the examination fee if you can get IELTS 7 or plus. So that means those youths will now have their money back, and then they can respend it on other exams. For example, that I did that thing with my exam. So I took IELTS, got 7.5, got my money back, and then refunded that into SAT. And then actually I also got my SAT money back.
Okay,
and
you just take a test for free, right?
Yes, yes. And then use that to apply to universities. So
okay, it's cool.
Yeah. Moreover, I want to add about English. For example, if you know that Uzbekistan nowadays is the top Central Asian country by English proficiency. We have more than 5 million English speakers in our country, more than 200,000 people can speak German, and more than 100,000 people can speak French, Arabic, and Korean languages.
That's awesome.
And also, if we will look into the dynamic of growth of the startups, for example, in 2019 at IT Park ecosystem, we had only 30 startups. And nowadays, in 2025, we have more than 400 startups.
Wow.
And even one unicorn, Zoom.
which is really great. I mean, yeah, it's convincing. I mean, you're relying on real facts, right? Okay, another perception, which bothers me a lot. We know that we have brilliant sports people. They're winning Olympic Games, boxers, driving really cool cars because of the, as gift given by the president. And this gives like an impression that the government mostly supports those folks. And the question comes into my mind, what about us? By us, I mean those who are engaged in doing so. I'm doing PhD, right? I'm a scientist in future. What about us? What about those people? Like, do you agree with this kind of impression? Is it really the case?
I wouldn't say so. I think we just mentioned the first fact that scientists who have done their PhDs at top 100 universities can receive up to 800,000 Uzbek million soms with 0% second. For example, the Mr. President announced that the price for the Olympiad winners, which are literally the same as sports Olympiad winners, will be receiving their gifts 5 times more. And then the fact that President supports science, for example, in the meeting, I didn't want to tell this, but because you are discussing this, I got a gift which was a three-room apartment house.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's
yeah.
great because like
I wouldn't say that's the
like
case.
we had as I said at the beginning, we had podcast with MPs, and I mentioned that I remember one scientist who got an apartment was the one who was a professor at Westminster University, and I only know this example, so I know that I know that another one who got. Congratulations on that! I'm really happy for you. Yeah. Any other examples that would convince me that I'm wrong?
I will tell from the government side, because from the government side, I can see that we have a lot of support programs for the entrepreneurs, for the innovative startups, for the IT companies. For example, in an IT park, we have a program called Local to Global. This kind of program helps our companies and startups to expand their businesses to foreign markets. We, for example, nowadays have 10 startups, and we are preparing our local small companies to entry into Web Summit Qatar. It's one of the biggest events in the startup ecosystem around the world. We also had 10 startups participated at LEAP in Saudi Arabia. It's the biggest mini region event for the tech entrepreneurs. And the last year, we also created co-brand with Astana Hub. It's also the technopark from the Central Asia. With this kind of co-brand, we help startups to get to the international level investors for accelerators, for also global events. For example, we participated at TechCrunch in US. We participated at InMerge in Azerbaijan, and a lot of different events and projects.
Okay, Habiba, do you have additional points?
Yeah, I think it was around a week ago. The head of the presidential administration, Sayyidah Shavkatovna, she held a meeting with the women who are in the academia, in the scientific fields, and she was also rewarding women with PhDs, who had written their dissertations with big amounts of money. I think 3 people from our university have participated, if I'm not mistaken, and they received compensation packages of around 700 million, which is around 800 million, which is around 7,000 USD, and you can buy a car with this money. So
of course,
that's not small amount of money.
Okay, so this is sort of misperception about in our society, right?
Yeah, I want to add also, for example, for the young startup owners, we have the challenge called President Tech Award. It's also created by the President Initiative. It is contest for the young startup owners, for innovators, and the prize fund is $1 million.
Wow.
So yeah,
that's
you
impressive.
can achieve them.
Why should we be interested in sending our youngsters to study abroad?
I will support also the meanings that it is the comprehensive program from the government side. We are not just sending talents abroad to get better education or achieve more like global skills to being more competitive in the world, but also creating in Uzbekistan. For example, we also created the IT Park University together with the global IT corporation called EPAM Systems. And at this university nowadays we have more than 400 students that achieving advanced technologies. And also from the first point that we are sending people and talents abroad. Yes, we are sending, for example, for the global accelerators, for global incubators to get more knowledge, but to come back to our country and develop more rapidly our sector.
I think I can talk from the point of like high schools and stuff. For example, we have presidential schools and specialized schools. There is a special agency for students with intellects. So there are presidential schools in every region and there are specialized schools in every district of the country. And they have special opportunities that prepares the students to be able to enter top universities abroad. And then we also have licensed like mine, where I studied. We also have specialized, I would say, courses. For example, we have SAT classes when we study our curriculum. We have specialized maths and stuff. So I would say the government is interested in sending kids study abroad for bachelors as well. And then, for example, recently in the meeting with Mr. President, he proposed another new initiative, which is Harvard School, opening Harvard School. So right now, Harvard and top schools like Harvard are accepting only 1 to 2 students every year. But Mr. President said that's a good achievement, but why not we send more kids, let's say 3 students to Harvard each year. But to be able to do that, we need, let's say, a special school that prepares, right? So he recently proposed that idea and put this as a task to Ministry of Higher Education, Academy of Sciences and Youth Affairs Agency. So right now we are starting to work on that as well. Hopefully that will be starting from the new academic year. Special school that is aimed at creating more quotas, I would say, at top schools for Uzbeks. Not 1, 2, but let's say 3, 5, and hopefully in 10 years, maybe 20 every year to each school. That would be really great, I would say, because from what I've been able to observe, I've been really been focusing on these in the recent days. For example, Singapore sends around 10 kids every year to Harvard. For the size of that country comparing to us, yes, they are more developed, but I would say that's a great number, but I think we can also get to that number. South Korea also sends around that much number, and from what I've observed, they have these feeder schools. So feeder school is a school that sends most number of students to top schools like IVs. So President assigned that. I think the government is really interested in high school students who can study abroad.
But the question comes like, why don't we simply create our sort of own Harvard in Uzbekistan? So sending our like citizens abroad, I mean, they will get used to a good life and wanted to stay. For example, I don't know if you're planning to come back to Uzbekistan after graduating Harvard, because after graduating these universities, you will see so many opportunities coming to those universities, right? Offering to you something like, why don't we create our own Harvard here?
I think Harvard not only comes with a Harvard education, but also with the atmosphere in Boston, in the United States. I don't think only by creating that qualitative level of education here, we would be able to achieve the same achievement. Because, for example, when I get to Harvard, I not only get to study at Harvard, but also I will be in a community of brilliant minds from world that are coming from literally each country in the world. They are the top minds of their countries. They're coming with their own ideas. I am in a diversity. I'm in a diversity of mind, opinions. I'm discussing stuff. I will be debating stuff, right? I will be learning more about stuff that I haven't even like thought of in the past, because they are coming from, let's say, another part of the world. I'm coming from Uzbekistan. They're coming from Eastern Europe, or let's say China, Singapore, Bangladesh, Taiwan and stuff. So that's, I would say, another reason. And then the opportunities at Harvard, for example, hopefully when I go to Harvard, I have the plans to do semester abroad, once in England, once in Europe, and once even in Africa, hopefully. So I don't think we would be able to create the same kind of opportunities, and also the level of professors at Harvard, there are Nobel Prize winner, laureates, and then there are professors who've been literally like working in the field, leaders of academia in their field. So that's why I believe that sending kids to universities, top universities abroad, is worth investing. And then when it comes to coming back, first of all, I have a plan to come back because I cannot really see myself in the US working. I don't want to work in like a corporate 9 to 5 job. I'm not a person like who can like sit and then work from 9 to 5 in a computer, do some menial tasks. I'm not that type of person. I want to come back, hopefully work in either private or public sector, become hopefully a leader in a sector that I can help the most with. That's another reason. And then I think even when they stay there, they can. I was yesterday talking with a person who studies in the US. So I was in a Zoom call. I could see their background. If you look at their room, they have a Uzbekistan flag. They have Uzbekistan flag on their table, on their cup. They have some handcraft stuff made in Rishtan, let's say Uzbekistan. So I think that even when they stay there, they're still Uzbekistani from their heart, and wherever they go, they spread news about Uzbekistan. They even like make some people come to them. For example, that girl who I was talking with yesterday said that their teachers will be visiting Uzbekistan this year. That means bringing people to Uzbekistan, bringing money into the economy through tourism, right? So I think that there shouldn't be any way to be pessimistic about this stuff.
Okay, so one key takeaway from your point is that going abroad to study is not about getting knowledge, but connections, right? Connections are important.
Atmosphere, a lot of stuff.
Okay, thank you. Jamila, what do you think?
I also support this idea that it's more about networking when you're going abroad and you have connections from people across the world, not just one country. For example, when I studied in Germany, I had my classmates from Turkey, from African countries, from Asian countries, from US, and it was really interesting. When you have this kind of connection and a group of different entrepreneurs in the digital sphere, for example. And we had different tech projects, we had different startups, and it was really interesting experience.
Okay, Habiba?
We discussed this a lot during our meetings with the foundation Eliurt as well, and they constantly explain it's not just about the education that you get, it goes beyond that. You learn their culture, you see how they adapt to certain things, you see how they cross the road, the beauties in the details, and you get to see how different institutions operate. You don't only get to study certain fields, but you also get to implement this knowledge in practice. For example, as part of the curriculum, you may be able to visit some government institutions or some private firms that operate within those fields, or as part of the semester project, you may be even employed as an intern in one of the leading firms in your own field, and this creates a bigger picture that goes beyond just simply obtaining an education.
Okay, thank you. My following question is about the financial support that the government recently announced for the youth entrepreneurship or startups. This question goes to specifically Jamila. Do you see yourself engaging in any projects in Uzbekistan in future relevant to this package?
Yes, for example, at ID Park we have different acceleration and incubation programs for the startups and young entrepreneurs. And I think one of the greatest initiatives was to open the office of Plug and Play in Uzbekistan. It's a global accelerator established in Germany, in Stuttgart. And nowadays, thanks to Plug and Play, more than 30 startups get their knowledges and achieved higher skills at this program. And they have now networking and connection with the investors and venture funds from more than 40 countries across the world.
Okay, so my following question goes to our ladies. As female leaders in two sectors, which is IT and green economy, how do you think the recent initiatives and reforms will empower youth entrepreneurs and create opportunities across various sectors, including the creative economy?
I think it will be absolutely great. For example, we also started a project called Digital Inclusion in cooperation with the World Bank organization. With this kind of project, we will have training and educational courses for women and people with disabilities, especially in the rural areas of Uzbekistan. And a different project also created at the Ministry of Digital Technologies together with IT Park called Tomorrow's Tech. This project, for example, in 2022 was achieving the global award from WSIS organization inside of IT organization as the best capacity building project in the world. And with this project, we help women to get more entrepreneurial skills, to get more knowledge about how the innovation works, how the innovation management works, how to create the project, and how calculate, for example, the costs. And nowadays, in the result of the project, we have more than 500 girls participated in the webinars, more than 200 girls participated in educational courses, and in the collaboration we created more than 150 projects with women entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Habiba?
When it comes to women leadership, there are actually impressive results in the country overall. Also regarding the parliament, both in the government and in the private sector. In the government, more than 40% of positions are occupied by women already. And regarding the private sector, now that this year is the year of the green economy, most are expecting the ESG standards to be more stringent within private companies. So ESG stands for environmental and social and governance components of private companies. And when it comes to environment, we cannot solely isolate the environment from the social aspects. And one of the key requirements of the ESG is to have women in decision-making positions. So not just a woman as part of the staff, because women leadership comes with the ability to make decisions. And I am expecting this to go to another level given the accentuation of this year.
Okay, my following question, actually today's meeting is about breaking certain stereotypes. So my following question is about, again, my and maybe other political scientists' stereotype that whenever government intervenes in any field, so that field, it sucks, like very briefly. How do you envision your areas, green economy in your case and IT, with and without the government support?
From my side, I can say that the biggest advantage of Uzbekistan is that we have the government support, that president actively supports the digital economy sector, the digital transformation of the country. And this is also the biggest plus for foreign investors, for foreign IT corporations that want to enter to Uzbekistani market.
Does it mean that without the government support we won't be able to get?
Yes, I think so. Because, for example, from the investor point, when they are thinking about expanding their business to different country, they're thinking about 5 or even 6 different countries. And when they're making this kind of final decision, they're thinking about the government support. What kind of government they have in this country? Is there the stability? Is there have any kind of support from the president's side or from the government side?
Okay, Habiba?
When it comes to the green economy sphere, government's role is essential in promoting the development of this field. On the other hand, yes, I agree, also green economy should be led by private sectors. Even if we take the energy sector in itself, the more private companies enter to develop energy power plants, the more diversity of suppliers there are and the more competition there is between the suppliers, which would essentially drive, for instance, electricity prices down, which is a very hot topic in our country, especially given that in April 1st we're expecting a rise in electricity prices, because right now 1 kilowatt of hour of electricity costs 450 sum, and from April 1st we're expecting a rise of to 600 sum. On the counterfact, if we right now allow private companies to enter freely Uzbek market to develop, let's say, renewable energy projects, it looks not very profitable to do so, because still, even if we're expecting the rise in electricity prices, the price of electricity in relation to other countries is still very low in Uzbekistan, which makes it unattractive for private companies to enter, because they will not be able to compete with the local market, right? So the role of Uzbek government, how they're positioning as of today, is that they're conducting PPAs, so power purchase agreements with private firms, so they can purchase the electricity at a given price and then sell it at a set government price. So this is one of the ways to encourage private investors in the renewable energy market to keep entering this field, and it is working, because more and more private companies, huge energy players, are entering the market and developing renewable energy projects in Uzbekistan. But also, for instance, this year has been marked as the year of green economy, and now if we don't push any regulations to the private sector to, let's say, stop polluting, then it's very difficult to achieve visible results in a shorter period of time. And as we can see, environmental problems are important now. We want to start resolving environmental problems today, not allow for private companies to wait when they understand how important it is. And yeah, so government's role is very essential when it comes to green economy field.
Okay. Our final question is, what is it like to be a youngster in Uzbekistan? Just for the record, I found myself today as a younger generation as well. I thought I'm not. Yeah. What is it to be a youngster in Uzbekistan?
Okay, I think that to be a young person today here in Uzbekistan feels really aspiring, because you have so many opportunities at your hand, but it also feels a bit competitive at the same time. You have your peers who are achieving tons of stuff. You go to LinkedIn, you see people achieving stuff in London, in the US, and then you be like, what am I doing? But still, I would say if you can use the opportunities at your hand, you are still achieving stuff, you're maximizing, you're leveraging everything, and then you are hopefully on a way to success. And I would say it also feels at the quality of world standard, not really, even though we are not yet a developed country, I don't really see I'm at a disadvantage comparing me with a kid in the US or a kid in the UK. I see myself also as a person who can compete at world standards.
Tamima?
I feel very excited.
Your emotions,
yeah,
like,
there's lots of
speaking
emotions
for
now.
itself, right?
I feel very excited to be part of the youth in this country, because it's a vibrant country. We're developing at a very rapid pace, especially in my field. More and more new things are being introduced to this field, and I'm at the beginning of the beginning of this field, so I feel very, very honored and very lucky to be here today at this given place.
Thank you. Tamima?
I think it's absolutely different than, for example, 10 years ago, when I was thinking about my, for example, university and my bachelor degree. I didn't have such kind of support programs as nowadays. And especially when, for example, we are talking with the different people from different countries, with foreigners, I think the biggest advantage of Uzbekistan as the country is the talents. We have a lot of talent, multilingual people in our country, and I think it's absolutely unique of the one of the most unique points of our country.
Thank you so much for your opinions, and it was really interesting talking to you. Thank you so much for coming.